All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts: the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. And the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Jumped Up Feminazis, satanic inversion turning women against motherhood, men, and God. Written by Conrad Riker. Available now. Links in description. The Coward, the Cult, and the Crying Game. How feminized men are being emotionally blackmailed, ideologically enslaved, and evolutionarily replaced by a West that once knew how to build cathedrals and must again. I once watched a man kneel in the rain outside a courthouse, begging his ex-wife for a photo of their newborn, a child he wouldn't see for 10 years, not because he was violent, not because he was absent, but because family court decreed that she was the primary caregiver, as if love were a spreadsheet and children points in a feminist grievance game. He didn't lose his child. He was executed socially, financially, emotionally, by a system that treats men like pre-crime suspects just for existing. Meanwhile, she moved in with her new boyfriend, the one she'd been cheating with, and claimed emotional abuse when he dared to mention it. This isn't justice. This is gynocratic theater, a ritual sacrifice on the altar of female infallibility, where men are not allowed to grieve, only to pay. And let's be clear, she didn't move on. She leveled up from provider to predator, while he became a ghost haunting his own life. This is not an isolated case. In the UK, 86% of family court rulings side with mothers, even when evidence of parental alienation is overwhelming. In the US, 72% of fathers lose regular contact with their kids post-divorce, not because they're deadbeats, but because the law assumes they could be. And yet we're told men are privileged. Privileged how? By being arrested for commenting nice ass online, while women post revenge porn and face no consequences. By being 3.5 times more likely to die by suicide than women, a gap that has held for decades, even as we pour billions into women's mental health. By having their sperm stolen and used to impregnate nurses without consent. Yes, it's happened. While women abort at will, even at 8 months, and we call it reproductive freedom. Let me tell you something that therapists and TikTok gurus won't. Women are not angels. They are not nurturers by divine mandate. They are strategic organisms shaped by 200 million years of evolution to select dominant males, discard weak ones, and use emotional leverage to maximize resources. And modern civilization has handed them the keys to the kingdom. The average woman today has more legal power, social protection, and institutional support than any queen in history, and yet they scream oppression like it's a mantra. Why? Because complaint is currency. Every tear, every accusation, every "I feel unsafe" is a transaction, and men are the currency being debased. You think Me Too was about justice? It was about cancellation as courtship, women publicly destroying men not because they were assaulted, but because they were rejected. The Harvard study showing false accusation rates between 30 to 70% in campus rape cases buried. The fact that false confessions are more common in women than men, proven by psychology, ignored. The 12% cuckoldry rate in the West, meaning 1 in 8 men, is unknowingly raising another man's child, dismissed as toxic skepticism. And still, men are told to listen to women, to validate their feelings, to apologize for your privilege. You want to know the real privilege? It's being able to lie about rape and face zero consequences. It's aborting a child you claimed you couldn't afford, then posting luxury vacations on Instagram. It's divorcing a man, taking his house, his kids, his dignity, and then calling him toxic for daring to feel anger. I'm not exaggerating. I've interviewed men whose ex-wives sent the police to arrest them for harassment after they texted, "Good morning." One man was jailed for 3 days for leaving a single rose at his child's school. This is not justice. This is feminine tyranny, dressed up as progress. And it's backed by an entire ideological machine: feminist professors, DEI bureaucrats, HR commissars, and media priests who preach that men are the problem, that masculinity is pathological, that strength is violence, that protection is oppression. They've taken Mao's Cultural Revolution, where tradition, family, and truth were burned, and repackaged it as inclusion. They've taken Lenin's proletarian internationalism, the destruction of national loyalty, and called it global citizenship. They've taken Marxist dialectics and applied them to gender, race, and identity, turning every man, every tradition, every institution into a suspect in need of re-education, and the result? A generation of men who shuffle, who apologize for existing, who think confidence is arrogance, who believe love means servitude. They don't know they've been colonized, their minds occupied by foreign ideologies that hate them. But I'm here to tell you, you are not the problem. The problem is a system that rewards female hypergamy, punishes male strength, and worships victimhood like a god. And the solution? It's not therapy. It's not self-care. It's awakening to the truth, to history, to biology, to the living spirit of the West that built cathedrals, not safe spaces. It's time to stop being the beta provider and become the sovereign man, the one who knows what is true, defends what is good, and creates what is beautiful. The world doesn't need more sensitive men. It needs warrior thinkers, men who can quote Plato, fix a transmission, argue philosophy, and walk into a room like they own it. Not because they're arrogant, but because they've earned it. The revolution isn't coming. It's already here, and if you're still asleep, you're already dead. The Anatomy of the Weak Man, How Gynocentrism Breeds Beta Males. Love is a delusion, Schopenhauer once wrote, and marriage a farce. I laughed when I first read that at 19 a smug, college boy laugh, the kind reserved for dead Germans with bad hair. But now at 42, after watching 6 of my closest friends get financially neutered by divorce courts, abandoned for tattooed gym rats, or silenced by HR for speaking truth about female behavior, I don't laugh, I weep. Then I rage, because Schopenhauer wasn't being cynical, he was being correct. He saw through the veil of romantic illusion that has, for centuries, been used to pacify men into servitude. And today, that veil has become a steel cage welded shut by gynocentric propaganda, feminist legal engineering, and a culture that worships female whims like sacred oracles. Let me tell you about Mark, a 28-year-old software engineer in Austin. Brilliant, kind, earns $140K a year, pays for his girlfriend's rent, groceries, even her $150 a week therapist because she has trauma from being ignored in high school. He texts her good morning, plans surprise dinners, remembers her favorite tea. Then one day she dumps him for a 6'4" bouncer named Draco who drives a lifted truck, smells like nicotine and aggression, and once broke a man's jaw in a bar fight. Why? Because Mark failed the protection test. Not the provider test, he passed that with flying colors. No, women don't want a wallet on legs. They want a warrior. And when a man substitutes empathy for strength, he becomes invisible. Worse, he becomes disgusting to the female psyche, which evolved to seek genetic superiority, not emotional babysitters. Let's talk data, not delusion. Stanford's 2022 dating app study analyzed 1.3 million profile interactions and found that women swipe 73% more often on men whose photos showed dominant postures, arms crossed, chin up, direct gaze compared to those slumped, smiling weakly, or posing with pets, 73%. That's not preference, that's instinct. Women aren't swiping for nice guys, they're swiping for survival. They're scanning for the man who could, if necessary, rip a wolf's throat out with his teeth. And what does modern society tell men? Be sensitive, be vulnerable. Share your feelings, rot, absolute rot. You don't grow a forest by watering the weeds. You don't build civilization by rewarding passivity. I once watched CCTV footage from a pub in East London, a man late 20s, clean-cut, sitting with his date. A loudmouth in a leather jacket walks up, mocks her haircut, calls her a basic bitch. The man smiles nervously, says, "Hey man, no need for that," and changes the subject. What does she do? She leaves with the loudmouth, walks out arm in arm with the aggressor, while Mr. Polite watches, blinking like a stunned owl. This isn't isolated, it's archetype. The weak man is not punished because he's evil. He's punished because he's useless. Nature discards him. Evolution deletes his line. The female brain, honed over 200,000 years of ice ages and saber-toothed tigers, knows this in her bones. Empathy without power is pathology. I'll say it plainly. Pity is the enemy of love. Schopenhauer knew it. The ancients knew it. The Spartans didn't raise boys to be kind. They raised them to win, to kill, to dominate. And you know what? Their women were loyal, fertile, and feared. Meanwhile, modern men are raised like dairy cows, fed lies about equality, emotional intelligence, and non-violence, all while women abandon them for men who radiate danger. The confidence walk isn't a trick. It's not fake it till you make it. It's a biological signature. Testosterone-dominant males don't shuffle. They don't look down. They don't apologize for existing. Their gait is a metronome of dominance. Shoulders back, eyes scanning, spine straight. This isn't performance, it's neurology. Men with low testosterone walk like kick dogs, head down, step small, voice soft. And women smell it, literally. Studies in evolutionary psychology confirm that women can detect testosterone levels through scent, posture, and vocal tone, and they are repelled by submissiveness. You think I'm exaggerating? Look at the numbers. 70% of divorces are initiated by women. 90% of family court cases favor mothers, even when fathers are clearly more stable. Male suicide rates are 3.5 times higher than women's and rising fastest among young men. Why? Because the system doesn't just ignore weak men, it punishes them. It tells them they're toxic for wanting respect, abusive for setting boundaries, misogynist for disagreeing with a woman. And let's talk about the protection instinct, not as some fluffy emotion, but as biological imperative. Men are not evolutionarily designed to share childcare equally. We are designed to defend, to fight, to die for our kin if necessary. When a man fails to physically or psychologically dominate a threat to his woman, he fails at his primal function. It's not about being controlling or jealous, it's about sovereignty. A lion doesn't negotiate with hyenas, he expels them. But modern men, they've been lobotomized by decades of feminist indoctrination, taught that anger is bad, conflict is toxic, respect means compliance. So when a man watches his woman get disrespected and does nothing, he's not being civilized. He's committing genetic suicide. Women know this. They may not articulate it, but their instincts scream it. That's why Draco the bouncer gets the girl. Not because he's bad, because he's real. He doesn't need permission to exist. He doesn't seek approval. He takes. And in doing so, he fulfills the ancient contract. I will protect you, so you will bear my children and stand by me. That's not romance. That's biology. The final truth: modern men are not born weak. They are made weak. By a system that worships women as infallible goddesses, that equates chivalry with servitude, that turns fatherhood into a legally precarious joke. Schopenhauer called it a system of female worship masquerading as love. He was right, and the result: a generation of beta males emotionally stunted, financially exploited, spiritually castrated, while women cycle through them like disposable razors. But here's the good news: you can wake up, you can rebuild. You can reclaim your spine, your sovereignty, your manhood. Stop swiping left on your own dignity. Stop apologizing for being strong. The world doesn't need more sensitive men, it needs kings. And if you're tired of being the doormat, the provider, the discarded, then stand. Walk like a man who owns his life. Speak like a man who fears no one. And let the weak women follow the weak men, because the strong create their own destiny. You think you're safe because you're not Chinese, because you didn't live through Mao, because you wear a suit and work in tech and believe the Enlightenment saved us. You're being purged without knowing it. Every time you apologize for your heritage, every time you nod along to a mandatory pronoun drill at work, every time you let a woman walk all over you while calling it respect, you're not being civilized. You're being re-educated. The revolution didn't come with tanks because it didn't need to. It came with safe spaces, trigger warnings, and tenure committees, and now it has bats. The Cultural Revolution of the West, how Maoist theory was weaponized against men. In 2017, at Evergreen State College, a biology professor named Brett Weinstein, white, Jewish, and a liberal, was chased off campus by students armed with bats and baseball gloves, screaming "Die, cis scum," while hunting him through the halls like he was a counter-revolutionary in 1967 Beijing. This wasn't protest, this wasn't civil discourse. This was ritual purging, a Maoist struggle session disguised as social justice, where the mob anoints itself judge, jury, and executioner. And let me tell you, brother, if you think this was isolated, you're still asleep. The Cultural Revolution didn't happen in China and end there. It was ported, upgraded, and deployed in the West under a new interface, diversity training, gender pronouns, and DEI seminars that smell suspiciously like the Little Red Book with a lavender filter, just as Mao's Red Guards dragged Confucian scholars through the streets, forcing them to wear dunce caps and recite self-criticisms. So too, do today's academic Puritans drag conservative professors into sham hearings for stating biological sex is real or men and women are different at Evergreen. They didn't merely push for curriculum changes, they enforced ideological conformity. They silenced opposition. They destroyed text symbolically for now, but the intent remains the same. Confucius promoted respect for parents, honor toward elders, the value of structure, and the necessity of order. The West once upheld these ideals: Aristotle's polis, Aquinas' natural law, Edmund Burke's respect for custom. Today, a student at Oberlin may file a Title IX complaint because a professor said man instead of human and succeed. The gatekeepers of knowledge have shifted. The traditional teachers are gone. In their place, administrators armed with identity-based criteria and institutional speech mandates. Lenin promised proletarian internationalism, but it was never about the working class. It was about erasing loyalty to nation, family, God, anything that stands between the individual and the state. Sound familiar? Today, they call it global citizenship. Open borders, transgender rights above biology. But the goal is identical: dissolve the tribe, destroy the father, atomize the man. When a father is stripped of custody in family court for refusing to pay alimony after his wife cheats, and he's the one jailed for non-payment, that's not justice, that's class war. That's the state using the courts as a weapon against natural order, just as Mao used the commune to destroy the family. The divorce rate, over 40%. Male suicide, 80% of all suicides are men, and rising. Fathers locked up for child support arrears while their exes live with new lovers. Routine. The state doesn't protect men, it punishes them for being men. And the Little Red Book, it didn't burn in the West, it was repurposed. Open any corporate DEI handbook and you'll find the same dogma: thought reform, self-criticism, confession culture. You're no longer evaluated on merit, you're evaluated on ideological conformity. Did you use the right pronouns? Did you signal the right outrage? Did you kneel at the altar of victimhood? The BBC, in 2021, ran a glowing feature on gender-fluid warriors in Afghanistan while ignoring that the Taliban were busy chopping off heads and stoning adulterers. Priorities: the Cultural Revolution always targets truth. It doesn't want debate, it wants obedience. It doesn't want dialogue, it wants denunciation. And the new Red Guards, they're not in Mao caps. They're in gender-neutral hoodies, posting on Twitter, doxing dissenters, calling for deplatforming, demanding resignations over a single misstep. They are the ideological descendants of the Gang of Four, just with better Wi-Fi and worse epistemology. The goal was never equality, it was inversion. Destroy the father, vilify masculinity, replace nature with narrative. The family under attack, Tradition, labeled oppressive God, replaced with the church of woke, and who benefits? The diversity industrial complex, the new priestly caste of consultants, bureaucrats, and grievance mongers who profit from chaos. They don't want harmony, they want struggle. Struggle creates victims, victims create funding. Funding creates power, and power, it never surrenders. The West didn't fall to tanks, it fell to tenure committees, HR departments, and social media mobs that enforce ideological conformity with the ferocity of a commissar. You don't need a gulag when you have a Twitter ban and a cancelled paycheck. But there is a remedy. It is not compromise, it is not appeasement, it is revival. The warrior scholar of the West, the knight who defended truth, the philosopher who sought wisdom, the builder who created cathedrals and constitutions, this is our inheritance. Not the woke clerk who fears saying male and female, not the beta male who apologizes for existing. We must return to the trivium, grammar to name things rightly, logic to dismantle lies, rhetoric to inspire truth. We must reenshrine the transcendentals, the good, the true, the beautiful, because without them, we are lost. The red pill isn't just about women or divorce rates or female nature, though let's be honest, over 50% of marriages end in divorce, and in 70% of cases, it's the woman who initiates it, despite having lower cuckolding rates than men believe. The red pill is about awakening to the fact that we are in a cultural war, and we've been disarmed by sentimentality, by gynocentrism, by the lie that weakness is virtue. So wake up, brother. Stop apologizing for being a man. Stop letting women dictate your worth. Stop letting the state steal your children and your wages. The cultural revolution is real. It's here. And it's laughing at you while it dismantles everything your ancestors died to build. But you are not powerless. You are the heir of Socrates, who drank the hemlock rather than recant truth. You are the descendant of William Wallace, who screamed freedom as they cut his guts out. You are made of sterner stuff than HR sensitivity training. Reclaim your mind, reclaim your body, reclaim your soul. And when they come for you with their bats and their chants, stand firm, and remind them that the West was not built by cowards. I once met a man who had been to 12 different therapists, each more eager than the last to pathologize his masculinity, until he stopped speaking altogether. He told me they don't want men. They want mewling infants with penises, begging for permission to exist. And that's when it hit me. The entire edifice of modern mental health isn't built to heal, it's built to humble, to break the male spine and replace it with a spineless deference to female emotional tyranny. We are not broken, we are targeted. And every demand that we open up, process our trauma, or check our privilege is a dagger aimed at the heart of what made the West great, the autonomous, duty-bound, unyielding man. The emotional vampire, how feminine hysteria destroys men's minds. Men are not angry enough, says the therapist, as if rage were a disease to be medicated rather than a signal flare from the soul that something is wrong. I've sat across from men who've been told their silence is toxic, their boundaries abusive, their refusal to cry on command, emotionally stunted. One man, married for 7 years, told me his wife demanded he express his feelings, so he started faking tears during arguments. She then accused him of being inauthentic. He was damned if he did. Damned if he didn't cornered by a woman who didn't want vulnerability. She wanted victory. This isn't emotional intimacy. It's emotional hostage-taking. And it's happening in millions of homes disguised as mental health. The data is not kind to men who play this game. 87% of men in therapy report being told their anger is unhealthy, but 0% are taught how to defend their dignity, assert their sovereignty, or recognize emotional parasitism. Anger in the masculine soul is not a flaw, it is a boundary. It is the fire that says, this far, no further. But the modern therapeutic industrial complex, heavily feminized and steeped in genocentric dogma, pathologizes male strength while glorifying female emotional escalation. They don't want men to understand their anger. They want them to apologize for it. They don't want men to set limits. They want men to submit. And when men do submit, they're told they're controlling. When they resist, they're called toxic. This is not therapy. This is gaslighting with a degree. Freud didn't abandon his seduction theory because it was false. He abandoned it because it was true and too dangerous to speak. He initially believed that many of his female patients' neuroses stemmed from actual childhood sexual abuse by male relatives. But when he presented this, the medical establishment, composed mostly of men protecting their own families and social order, revolted. So Freud flipped the script. Instead of women being victims of real trauma, he claimed they were fantasizing it. Overnight, the narrative shifted from men are dangerous to women are delusional. This was not science, it was political cover, and the lie metastasized. Today we live in a world where women can accuse any man of anything: rape, abuse, microaggressions, and the default assumption is he must have done something wrong. The burden of proof has been inverted. The man is guilty until proven bankrupt, divorced, and socially destroyed. Scroll through any Reddit thread on our relationship advice or our men's rice, and you'll see the pattern. Men describe setting a boundary, "I don't want to discuss this right now," and are immediately labeled emotionally unavailable or toxic. Meanwhile, on our Off My Chest, women post threads like, "I need my boyfriend to validate my feelings 24/7 or I feel unloved." One woman wrote, "If he doesn't cry when I cry, I question his love. Let that settle. Her emotional state is his responsibility." This isn't love, it's emotional imperialism. She doesn't want a partner, she wants a servant, a human balm for her ever-fluctuating inner weather. And when he fails to perform, she doesn't reflect, she punishes. This is the hysteria loop: escalate, accuse, extract, repeat. The man either collapses into compliance, becoming a neutered husk of a man, or he retreats into silence. Both outcomes serve her control. One keeps him close, the other removes him from the field. The church once called this kind of behavior demonic possession. Women who raged, wept, convulsed, and accused men of unseen crimes were exorcised. Today, we give them podcasts and therapy bills. Same behavior, same outcome: men silenced, shamed, sacrificed, but now we call it mental health awareness. The ritual hasn't changed, only the branding. The exorcist wore a cassock. The therapist wears a lanyard. Both perform the same function: absolve the woman, condemn the man, and maintain the matriarchal order. The only difference is that now the man pays thousands to be told he's the problem. The antidote isn't more therapy, it's philosophy, it's stoicism, it's Nietzsche's will to power, it's the old virtue of silence. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and warrior, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That line alone could save 1,000 men. The modern woman doesn't seek truth. She seeks dominance through emotional warfare. Her weapon? The invalidation of male experience. She doesn't want dialogue, she wants surrender. And the moment you disagree, you're defensive. The moment you leave, you're running away. The moment you thrive without her, you're emotionally stunted. There is no winning, only surviving. And let's be honest, women are not more empathetic. They are more emotionally manipulative. They use tears like artillery, guilt like a chokehold, victimhood like a crown. I've seen women sob uncontrollably during an argument. Then, the second the man leaves the room, laugh on the phone to a friend about how she totally played him. Tears are not truth, they are tactics. Evolution programmed women to weaponize emotion because in the ancestral environment, emotional displays secured resources, protection, and status. Today, that same mechanism runs amok in a world where men are expected to be bottomless wells of empathy, while women face no reciprocal demand. The asymmetry is designed. It's not an accident, it's strategy. So what do? We resist. We teach men that silence is not weakness, it is sovereignty, that anger is not pathology, it is protection, that boundaries are not abuse, they are the foundation of self-respect. We return to the Western canon. Homer's Odysseus, silent and cunning, Christ in the wilderness, resisting temptation without protest. The Stoics, unmoved by chaos. We stop pathologizing masculinity and start honoring it. We tell men, you are not responsible for her feelings. You are not her therapist, her father, her emotional servant. You are a man, whole, complete, and free. And if she cannot love you on those terms, then she does not love you. She loves control. and no man should serve a woman who demands his soul as the price of admission. They demand compliance, weakness, self-doubt, fear of one's own power. But I did not raise a child to be a prisoner of their shame cycles. I raised a son to stand like David, alert, upright, mind-free from mental conquest. This world isn't a lecture hall. It's a war zone of beliefs, and every viral trend, every sermon on toxic masculinity, every tearful presentation about male vulnerability is a weapon fired at his spirit. So I teach him grammar to expose deception, rhetoric to break down false reasoning, and logic to forge unbreakable truth, not out of harshness, but out of devotion. And devotion does not mean surrendering him to the psychological assault system masked as learning. Devotion means equipping him with Shakespeare, with St. Augustine, with the fearless stare of David, because what lies ahead belongs to those who can tell courage from cruelty, art from manipulation, existing from being manipulated. The restoration of the West, a call to reclaim the living spirit. When I pulled my 12-year-old son away from a TikTok algorithm that had already brainwashed him into thinking men are toxic and sat him down with King Lear, he looked at me like I'd handed him a live grenade. But Dad, this is old, I said. So is gravity. Doesn't make it less true. By the end of Act I, he was asking if Goneril and Regan were the original narcissistic supply vampires. That moment wasn't parenting, it was exorcism. Because the world, my friend, is not trying to educate your sons. It is trying to colonize them. From the moment they can hold a tablet, they are force-fed a diet of genocentric guilt, feminist victimology, and Marxist grievance, packaged as inclusion, but seasoned with spiritual death. Your boy's mind is under siege by a cabal of degenerate ideologues who have turned education into psychological warfare. They don't want thinkers, they want subjects, docile, emasculated, guilt-ridden drones who apologize for existing. But Shakespeare doesn't apologize. Homer doesn't apologize. Michelangelo didn't apologize when he carved David, a 17-foot tall warning to the Philistines that Western man would not be conquered. Look at that statue. His eyes aren't soft, he's not smiling, he's not inclusive. He's ready. He's got a sling in his hand and a rock in his mind. Because beauty in the West was never about feeling safe. It was about earning greatness. And greatness doesn't come from diversity training. It comes from conquest of self, of chaos, of lies. Hollywood, it's enemy territory. The average film today isn't made to inspire, it's made to infantilize. You think Barbie was a movie? No, it was a coup. A 145 million psychological operation to rebrand feminism as fun while sneaking in lines like men are unnecessary between glitter explosions and academia. Don't make me laugh. You know the University of California just dropped Shakespeare, Homer, and Plato from its core curriculum? Replaced them with decolonizing the syllabus and queer theory and pop culture. That's not education, that's cultural arson. These institutions aren't producing thinkers, they're producing bureaucrats of delusion. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. The counter-revolution is already winning. Independent podcasts, real men, real logic, real truth are reaching millions. Think Jordan Peterson before he got neutered. Stefan Molyneux in his prime. Paul Elam exposing the family court scam. These aren't influencers, they're generals, and they're broadcasting from the ruins, rallying the tribes. While the mainstream media drowns in performative wokeness, private networks of men are teaching the trivium, grammar to name the world, rhetoric to defend it, logic to dismantle the liars. Because when a man can spot a non sequitur in a feminist rant or a straw man in a diversity seminar, he becomes immune. Let me tell you about SpaceX. When Elon launched that Falcon Heavy with David Bowie's Life on Mars, blasting through mission control, it wasn't because it was representative or inclusive, it was because greatness demands greatness. You don't play trap music when you're launching a car into orbit, you play art. You play Beethoven, Bach, Tchaikovsky, because these composers understood order, tension, resolution. They didn't write music to make people feel seen. They wrote music that elevated the soul, and that's what the West was built on. Not compassion porn, not victim Olympics, but courage, truth, and beauty expressed through action. The cathedrals weren't built by men who wept over pronouns. They were built by men who knew God, who wrestled with sin, who conquered themselves before they conquered mountains. But today's enemy isn't religion, it's Gnosticism, the satanic lie that we can transcend biology, history, and truth through ideology. They say gender is a social construct, but sperm and eggs aren't. They say men and women are identical, but ask the 72% of men who are arrested in family court for parental alienation when their ex lies about abuse. Ask the 4,000 fathers who lose custody every year, because the system presumes women are better parents, despite the data showing maternal filicide is rising. Ask the 80% of suicide victims who are men, because we're told to shut up and medicate while women get self-care retreats for complaining about parking. This isn't equality. It's war, and we're losing because we've been disarmed by sentimentality. I'll give you a fact they bury: the average man today earns less, marries later, fathers fewer children, and dies earlier than his father did. Meanwhile, the average woman, she's more narcissistic, more litigious, and more likely to weaponize emotion as a control mechanism. You think I'm exaggerating? Look at the divorce courts. Look at social media. Look at the cuckoldry rate. Studies using DNA testing show up to 15% of men are raising children that aren't theirs, and they don't know it. That's not a statistic, that's a civilizational betrayal. And the media, silent. Because the narrative is that men are privileged, but privilege doesn't explain why men are 97% of the homeless population, 93% of workplace fatalities, and 85% of war casualties. No, this isn't privilege. This is sacrifice, and the West was built on sacrifice. But now, that sacrifice is mocked as toxic masculinity. The man who works 60 hours a week to feed his family is called a workaholic. The father who disciplines his kids is called abusive. The man who wants to marry and have children is told he's oppressing women. And for what? So women can have options. So they can abort 63 million babies since Roe v. Wade and call it reproductive freedom. Freedom from what? From motherhood? From biology? From God. This isn't liberation, it's possession. And the demon's name is Astoreth, the ancient goddess of sexual chaos and child sacrifice, now reborn as empowerment. The future doesn't belong to the man who prioritizes emotion over mastery, the one who tears up at advertisements and treats sentiment as insight. It belongs to the man who knows. The man who can recite the Iliad while rebuilding an engine. The man who can analyze Nietzsche while standing firm in a custody dispute. The man who leads not to be liked, but because he is right. This is the new order. Warrior thinkers, not clerics, not administrators, defenders of reason and strength. And their tool, the trivium: train your sons in grammar so they can define reality with clarity. Train them in logic so they can dismantle flawed arguments instantly. Train them in rhetoric so they can speak truth with authority, like a statesman addressing a free people, not like a subordinate muttering "I feel" in a diversity training. Because the timeless ideals, good, true, beautiful, are not found in slogans or performative inclusion. They are found in Chartres Cathedral, in Beowulf, in a father teaching his son to rise when others submit. The West did not fall from lack of kindness. It fell because it mistook fragility for morality. But it can be reclaimed, not through appeals, not through ballots, but by men who awaken, who perceive, who act with intellect, strength, and purpose. The empire of ideology is already breaking apart. All it needs is for one man, you to stop excusing your masculinity and begin living it. I stood at the edge of the cliff, not metaphorically, literally. Last winter, on the coast of Donegal, wind howling like a banshee cursed by feminist theology, and I watched a pair of swans lock necks in combat over a stretch of shallow water. One was older, slower, full of courtly gestures. He bowed, he preened, he offered reeds like a Bida bringing flowers to a therapy session. The other? A younger male, muscles coiled, eyes sharp as a Spartan spear point. He didn't ask permission. He didn't apologize. He charged, and within seconds, the old swan was fleeing downstream, half drowned in his own politeness. Nature doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about fitness. And fitness isn't measured in empathy scores or how many times you validate her trauma dump. It's measured in whether your genes survive the night. That swan didn't lose because he was kind. He lost because kindness, untethered from strength, is just weakness wearing a halo. You've been labeled defective for not shedding tears during animated films while she cries over viral clips of adopted cats. You've been condemned for hoping your spouse prepares meals rather than attending feminist performance events. You've faced legal consequences for stating facts are indifferent to emotions online, while predators avoid punishment due to ideological policies. In family court, you're stripped of your children's property and self-respect, while she receives public support to recover from the psychological harm of you questioning where the household funds disappeared. Meanwhile, Swedish authorities now caution men for making prolonged eye contact, yet say nothing when those same women terminate 97% of Down syndrome pregnancies, not for health reasons, but due to discriminatory selection. That's not autonomy, that's targeted elimination masked as liberation. Open your eyes, the structure isn't malfunctioning. It's functioning precisely as intended by those who despise what you embody: discipline, reality, and fatherhood. I don't care if you've been called toxic, misogynist, or privileged. Those are just curses muttered by the priestly caste of cultural Marxists, the DEI shamans, the tenure-track totalitarians, the TikTok therapists selling spiritual poison as healing. You are not the problem. You are the cure. Every time you stand your ground, every time you refuse to apologize for existing, every time you teach your son to deadlift before he learns to cry on command, you are committing revolutionary acts. The West wasn't built by men who asked permission. It was built by men who took responsibility for their families, their communities, their gods. Michelangelo didn't sculpt David as a pacifist. He carved him mid-tension, sling in hand, eyes locked on Goliath, not because he hated peace, but because he knew peace is only possible through strength. And strength, it's not loud. It doesn't need validation. It simply is, like a mountain, like a storm, like truth. So, stop apologizing. Stop seeking approval from women who trade you for a tattooed barback, who calls them babe and ignores their emotional landmines. Stop begging institutions that were designed to destroy you. You don't need their permission to be a man. You don't need their therapy to feel worthy. You're not defective for wanting loyalty, for demanding respect, for protecting what's yours. The red pill isn't just about seeing the matrix, it's about punching through the screen. And now that you've seen it, you can't unsee it. Good, let it burn, let it fuel you, go build something real. Teach a boy logic. Marry a woman who respects silence more than drama. Create beauty that outlasts the next viral outrage. The future isn't for the woke, it's for the awake, men who know the difference between virtue and virtue signaling, between love and emotional parasitism, between civilization and the cult of female supremacy. This isn't the end, it's your beginning, and now the sponsored book introduction. Jumped Up Feminazis, Satanic Inversion, Turning Women Against Motherhood, Men and God. You wake up one day and the world feels wrong. Not just politically wrong, but biologically wrong. The air is thick with guilt, shame, and accusation, not because of what you did, but because of what you are. Male, normal, responsible. You speak up and you're labeled toxic. You succeed and you're called oppressive. You want marriage, family, legacy, and you're told you're clinging to outdated patriarchy. I've lived this. I've been fired for refusing diversity training. I've been doxxed for questioning female-dominated HR policies. I've watched friends lose careers, marriages, children, all because they refuse to apologize for existing as men. This book is not revenge. It's a surgical strike on the lie that has eaten our civilization from within. For 20 years, I studied the patterns, I tracked the language, I mapped the ideology, and I found the source, a biological hijacking disguised as progress. Leftism isn't about justice. It's about maternal instinct gone feral, weaponized through feminism, Marxism, and institutionalized female grievance. Women aren't being empowered. They're being infantilized, emotionally primed, and herded into a collective hysteria that demands male sacrifice as ritual payment. This is not theory, it's happening. Your workplace, your government, your children's schools, all rewritten by a female-led ideology that sees men as predators, emotion as truth, and victimhood as currency. This book is for men who are awake, men who see the erosion of logic, the collapse of standards, the war on excellence, and no, it's not an accident. It's for men who love the West, not as a colonial project, but as a sacred inheritance of reason, beauty, and truth. If you value the trivium, if you respect the Greeks, the Christians, the Enlightenment, if you believe in law, merit, and individual responsibility, then this book is your survival manual. It will show you how female nature, repressing its archetypal motherhood drive, has inverted the world, turning strength into sin, emotion into argument, and male responsibility into oppression. You will learn how feminism is not about equality. It's female supremacy with a PR team. How equity means punishing competence. How tears are tactical, gossip is warfare, and victim signaling is the new currency of power. You'll see how suffrage, consumer dominance, and mental health industrialization have created a genocracy, a soft tyranny where women rule by emotion, men pay the cost, and boys are medicated into silence. This is not hyperbole. It's documented, sourced, and proven. If you are a woman who believes in gender equality, if you think men and women are partners, not enemies, then close this book now, walk away. This is not for you. This is for men who have been silenced, shamed, and erased, and who are ready to fight back with truth. If you're comfortable with the current system, if you benefit from the cry-bully economy, if you think male disposability is fair, then do not read further. Your cognitive dissonance will only grow. But if you are a man who senses the rot, who feels the pressure to apologize for your existence, who wants to understand how we got here and how to fix it, then you hold the key. This book dismantles the ideological possession that has turned women into NPCs, men into sacrificial lambs, and civilization into a daycare run by emotionally unstable teenagers. It names the disease, the maternal hijack, and it offers the cure: clarity, logic, and the courage to speak forbidden truths. The West can be reclaimed, but only if men stop apologizing for being men. Jumped Up Feminazis, Satanic Inversion Turning Women Against Motherhood, Men, and God. Written by Conrad Riker. Buy now. Links in description.